today I'm going to be showing you my honest review of the Xdome 1 Plus. I've had this out on quite a few trips now, and I finally feel like I've got a decent enough opinion to tell you lot how I feel about it, what I do and don't like, how it's sort of fared in different types of weather, and how easy it is to set up. So far I've had little to no issues with this thing. There's a few minor things which I'll touch on later, but as a whole it really is the perfect sort of 3-season tent. I know they kind of say it pushes out to sort of 4-season, like 3 and a bit, but with the not so solid inner, it kind of does keep you a bit chillier in the nights. In summer this will be a fantastic tent, and I bought this in April of last year, so didn't get masses of use out of it coming into the end of summer, but as winter came is when I really got the use out of it, so it held up really well for that. So I have strong faith that as summer comes now, it'll be the perfect tent for me, really. It weighs in at just around 1,000 grams, well, a kilo, give or take with pegs and that sort of thing. I didn't order pegs with it, I got my own pegs separately. I use the Eastern pegs, but as a whole, for a freestanding tent, it's, I think, the lightest on the market, so for that it's gains a few extra points. So what actually comes in the tent bag? Well, obviously the tent, but we'll start off with this first. They send quite a large tent bag, which truthfully, when you really puff it down, you can get your tent to about the size of a, well, not like that really, but half the size of the bag they give you for it. So I definitely recommend getting a dry sack and just shoving your tent in there. It'll save you on some space and help keep your tent dry when you're not using it. So throw that one away, we don't need him. And then the tent itself. So the Xdome works in numerous different ways. It can be pitched as just the inner, it can be pitched as just the outer, which makes it super sort of friendly for the consumer. It gives you that sort of choice and the option to change things as to how you need them. I'm yet to use it as just the inner. I've used it a few times as the outer, which is really handy. There's loads of space in there. Feels like a 2-man tent when you take the inner out. And super easy and simple to pitch there. So when these summer days come in and longer evenings and warmer weather, I won't be needing the inner, and it'll help save me on weight, which is perfect. However, I wouldn't want to just bring my inner, just in case if I was to leave my outer at home and then we get a bad forecast. You know what the weather's like in the UK. Things can turn pretty quickly, so I'd rather not take that risk. Obviously it comes with a ground sheet as well. I think that's an additional choice. You can add that on at the end, but it really doesn't cost that much extra and it's worth having. It's a right pain buying a tent and then trying to find a ground sheet separately. Durston have used these Eastern carbon 3.9mm poles, which is for a lot of people quite worrying because it's a very thin set of poles, which is partly where it comes into the weight and how they've managed to achieve such an incredible weight for a freestanding tent. Now, the first batch they sent out had a few issues with the gluing and the inserts for the actual poles themselves, where the company itself didn't use enough glue to really help hold it in there and keep it in place. So a few people have issues with the actual pole set there itself sliding out, and in doing so, when you don't notice these things and your tent set up and then you get some bad winds, it'll cause your tent poles to snap in different places. Now, I'm pretty certain I got sent the second batch, so there wasn't a problem, but regardless, I've had an email recently from Durston to say they're sending out a new batch of poles, which is brilliant. So to a degree I'll have a spare set of poles. Whether or not I'll just stash these away out of fear and not use them because in case they were something wrong with them, who knows. But regardless, I have a spare set now, which is really handy, and it speaks volumes of Durston as a company and them wanting to look after the customer and make sure the customer's happy with what they make. But other than that, the poles are brilliant, and they fit perfectly on the side of my bag nice and well. They clip together super easy. The only issue I've kind of had is on the T-bar, where the insert here is kind of bent slightly, but it's almost with the shape of the tent and how the tent wants to be, so it's not made any difference in that aspect. Other than that, a few people have complained about, I've seen on other videos, they clip into these small little tags here. So for example, that would prop into there and it kind of clips against itself, he says. Some people find that quite finicky and tricky to play around with, and in cold weather hard to do, but I've done this in minus temperatures with gloves on and I still find it fairly easy to pop in. As long as you're using your head and not being an absolute donut, you'll get them in without a problem. We'll put that to one side. What a lot of people tend to do at the moment is tie the inner and the outer in each corner have their own separate clips for the poles. So that's what allows you to set up the inner and the outer. People tend to use the cordage for the pegs to tie them together, so when it actually comes to folding your sheet out and your fly with everything connected, it makes finding the corners so much easier. I haven't done this because I've been playing around with it with just the outer recently, but definitely a good little tip is just to tie those corners together, and when it comes to flapping your tent out to lie it flat, you'll find those corners super easy. So that's your inner, that's your outer. If you lay your clips just over top of each other like that so you can see directly through, you grab your pole of which has your little clip on the end, pop into the middle of both, and that's all it is. It's really that simple. So we'll go around and do that on each corner now. We'll find our outer clip, inner clip, lay over the top. I stupidly snapped that bit of cordage off when probably pulling something too hard being a donut, so I just need to replace that, but doesn't make a big problem when both are being connected together. So once again, there we are, both clips in, nice and easy. That way we don't want any little tangles. Push those together, poles go in, bam, and you're done. Right, that's her pegged out, so she's nice and taut now. I will, oh, have I got an extra peg in here? I've got one of my old Wild Country ones. If I just plop that into here, it'll make opening the tent a lot easier with one hand. So that's it, that's the tent open. There's your vestibule space. You can see how that string design works now, where it connects out to the corner. You can see some rubbish in there from my last camp, which is probably actually from Scotland when we were on the Cape Wrath trail. Let's see. So here's your magnetic tent little clips. Just clip that to there, he says. Why am I struggling here? Well, clip that to there. Not done that perfectly, but makes it super easy. You've got one on this side as well, which you can see. So you can really get the front of this nice and open when the summer hits and the sun's out and you want to sit in your tent and enjoy the view. Same again in here, you've got a sort of T-bar style zipper, he says. Whoop. And I'll just zip him down on the side here. Super nice, easy zips. Same again, we'll get this ravelled up. Ooh. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. There we go, look. And we're in. So if I get my litter out of here. That's how we're looking for space. You've got a nice big pocket up here. There is a pocket somewhere else. A pocket down the side there. And yeah, super easy. So the way the inner and outer work is there's all these clips on the inside. So if you don't want your inner, you just go around and unclip all these. And you can see they run all the way through the tent. There, there. And then when it comes to just running the inner, you can see you've got these extra clips here, which will clip round the actual pole set and back to itself. So then you can just run it as just the outer, just the inner. So there it is, the Xdome Plus One, my go-to tent at the moment. It speaks for itself. It's a 3/4 season tent. It more or less does it all. I've had it in snow, rain, wind, hail, sunshine, you name it, it's been through it and it's survived. Really impressed with it. It's money that really is well spent and I haven't regretted spending one bit. It was a big purchase for me really in terms of a tent. It's a lot of money, it's not cheap. But Durston are a good company that don't work through retailers, so in that way it cuts down a lot of costs for us. Unfortunately, living in the UK, import tax is a thing, so it's about 90 quid's worth of import tax I had to pay on this, but again, worth every single penny. So all in all, it was probably a £500 purchase, which again, for the tent and what it is, I would have paid more if I knew that this is what it was going to be. I really would recommend it to anyone. It will keep you safe. It's done well in wind, but I would honestly say I wouldn't want it in anything over 35 mile an hour. It would survive it, especially if you add your hiking pole, which I can show you. So I've got my hiking pole here in each side of the tent, just as this little cup is, you'll see like a small little pocket. So you stick the handle of your pole in there, if you can find it. That'll be off shape. You kind of want it to be opposing, or whichever way the wind's coming from. The wind coming from this way, that pole being there is obviously going to keep it more rigid. If the wind's coming this way and I put the pole running the other way, it's not going to make a huge difference. But again, you've got it on both sides, so you know, definitely helps, and it's that extra bit of stability and that extra bit of comfort you'll have when you're inside the tent. So just for a bit of reference, I'm 6'2", and headroom wise, I've got a good half a foot above my head still sat down. So bear in mind, 10cm thick pad, I'd probably just below the top here, which is just what I need, absolutely perfect. There's room just to sit in the porch here. You can kind of bring this out a little bit more and get a bit more space. I have room to keep the bag on the inside because it's a 1+, so depending on how you run it, you can run your mat against this side, this wall here, which will give you a bit more length, or you can push it to this back wall as well, which doesn't make a huge difference. You still get a long wide pad. I use a Big Agnes Repeat SL and I get in here with no issues whatsoever. Yeah, enough room in here to fit your pack and a few other bits. Sometimes I'll take the dog camping with me and there's enough room for her in here, so absolutely perfect. And obviously you've got so much vestibule space that you can chuck your bag in there, no problem as well. Just to touch on the actual tent material itself, Durston use polyester, I think it's 15D, and a lot of other tents will use nylon. I'm not sure the direct reason why Durston chose to use polyester, but I think partly it's due to its fast drying sort of properties and capabilities, as well as its lack of sagginess. I think nylon can tend to get quite saggy when wet, saggy and when wet, and after a lot of use on a few nights out. Also partly I think polyester is a lot more cost effective. I don't know the exact difference between polyester and nylon in that sense, or even necessarily its strength, but as a whole it's what Durston went with, and I can kind of see their reasoning behind it. If you can make a material that's more fast drying for your tent, why wouldn't you use it? So yeah, that's it. That concludes my review of the Durston Xdome. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It's my first sort of style of review and gear review video, so I hope you enjoy. I'm hoping to bring out a few more videos of me using it out in the field, see how it gets on there, so you get a better idea of that. And also reviewing some other bits and bobs I use, whether it's my sleep system, my rucksack, God knows what. I've spent a lot of stupid money on hiking gear that I haven't needed, or it hasn't suited what I needed it for. And if me making these videos can help you guys sort of save monies in places and not spend silly money on things you don't need, and there you go, it's a benefit to me doing this. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, like and subscribe, show some love in the comments, let me know what you want to see, and I'll be sure to reply back and let you know, and hopefully make some more videos for you.